On. First of all, happy Malcolm Tuesday to y'all. You know what I mean? It's always something. If it ain't one thing, it's two. You know what I mean? Because I wanted to put this video out just to see where we coming from, just so y'all can see where we coming from.
That thing's fine.
Yeah, and the thing is, I did all this. I sampled it all out before we went live, just so I can make sure everything is copacetic. You know what I mean? You know, I really do try to Malcolm in his day-to-day living. You know what I mean? But like I said, if it ain't one thing, it's two. So it's just coming back down to I'm gonna have to get a better computer with higher speed and all that other shit, because you know I thought this was it, but this ain't the move right here. But like I was saying, you tapped into the top of the top with King Phillip. You know, as you can see, we got a special guest. All right, we about to get live with this thing. So first of all, we're gonna go ahead and kick this here disclaimer off. All right, so number one, you know, anything that's said in this podcast, you know what I mean? I always say we don't need data when we have the experience, when we are the experience that they need to collect their data. You know what I mean? So if anything that we say on this podcast make you feel some kind of way, please evaluate why you allow something that we said to make you feel some kind of way. Don't pull up and brush up on me like, oh, I'm gonna get this nigga Phillip a piece of my mind. I ain't trying to hear it. All right. So evaluate, do that personal growth, all that stuff on your end. All right, that's our disclaimer. You know what I mean? You can take it for what you want, you know, because that's what it is at this point, you know, because you know, it's gotten to the point where we've allowed so much to happen in our own community that we don't even say or speak up about it. So we saying and we speaking up about it. So if you have not so far, check out the website. You know what I mean? Makeachessmove.org. Y'all know this routine. Y'all know how we go through this whole routine. You know, there's a whole donation tool. I mean, there's a whole toolkit on there on the donation tab. Utilize that toolkit, share the toolkit, get it to your friends on your social medias, all that stuff. You know what I mean? Push it to your Facebook friends. If you haven't liked us, /Macam303. Everything is /Macam303. There's the Instagram. There's the Twitter. You know, we got a Pinterest. You know what I mean? Like I said, everything is /Macam303. All right. Special guests, if they don't know you, they should get punched, socked, right in their mother. Let them know a thing or two, please. Introduce yourself.
How y'all doing today? My name is Elijah, also known as Young Activist.
The youngest.
The youngest of activists. That is not true no more. Nah, I'm 21. Eventually I'm gonna change my name to probably just activist or something. Just the activist.
You know, that's how they do it. That's how little what's his name? That's how all the little rappers came out, you know what I mean? You know, they just lost the lil behind it, you know what I mean? I can check that.
Yeah,
you know,
I'm probably gonna do the same thing because I'm not gonna be young forever, but yeah, I'm a community leader around the community. I am an Israelite, you know what I'm saying? Jesus is black. And yeah, let's get it.
Let's get it. So y'all know our conversation today, you know, every week we bring a different topic, a different just discussion on what these behaviors are that's plaguing our community. You know, what these destructive behaviors are that we're not saying anything about.
Right.
All right. And this week, you know, we're talking about the school to prison pipeline.
Come on now.
All right. The thing is with the school to prison pipeline, a lot of us, including myself, again, I'm speaking from experience. We didn't know we were on the school to prison pipeline when we were on it.
Right.
All right. But my thing is, how many ways can we get access to that pipeline? How many ways are we stepping onto that pipeline? So I'm sure that y'all saw the video. And y'all see our topic is the school to prison pipeline via the sports route. You know what I mean? That's our topic, you know, and it came up from my man Young Activist.
Yeah, I said I wanted to talk about that this morning. I'm about to actually come out with a video later on, a YouTube video, probably like at 1 or 2, speaking on this in my perspective with my boy Hasadaya. But basically, you know what I'm saying? Long story short, yeah, we're gonna be talking about that.
And please share the video too, you know, of what we're gonna be talking about, because my computer, as y'all can see, is fucking up. You know what I mean? So please, if you can, share that video of what we're going to be discussing. If people have not seen that video, you know what I mean? It's disgusting. Give them a little background on that video, please.
So if you know about the video, long story short, it's a video of this dude. It's in southern Georgia, and this man, he's a black man. He slaps he slaps a kid. First of all, like, well, he has a helmet on, but he slaps his little kid in the national championship so hard he pushes him back, and then he slaps him one more time so hard that he ends up falling to the ground. And I'm sure it's because there was a bad play. I mean, he could have potentially fumbled. You know what I'm saying? He could have potentially I don't know, made a turnover, an interception, whatever he did. It created a reaction towards the football coach to be able to harm the kid physically. And everybody pretty much knows about it. And he did a public apology about like 2 or 3 days ago. In public apology, he basically was just like, hey, man, I apologize. What I did was wrong. But me and the parents reconciled. We all good. We came to agreement. And they forgave me. So everybody else should forgive me too. So that's the assumption he has.
I mean, so with that, how old was the young boy?
You said what?
How old was the young boy?
The young boy was 9 years old. 9 years old or under 9 years old. So he was about like 5, 6, or 7 around that time. Around that, no, I think he was about like 8. Because it was under a 9-year-old league. It was a youth football league. So a lot of those kids fluctuated ages, but I'm pretty sure it was around like 8 or 9, around that.
All right, so we're gonna jump around if you don't mind a little bit. You know, looking at, I mean, because I saw the video.
One thing I really want to make clear is, like, I played football growing up. I played football from 5, 6 years old to about like 16 or 17 years old. I played football pretty much like my whole youth. I was always in the sport of football, always. You know what I'm saying? It's something that I never really was in until I came into the truth. Outside of that, the reason that football was such an enjoyable sport to me was because of the team goals that were at hand. You know what I'm saying? For example, when you was playing football, you was always obtaining for a championship. So, you got created a brotherhood with those people. Y'all was practicing all the time. I really enjoyed the team collaboration that came with it. But overall, though, I mean, football, I've seen a lot of people get hurt, damage their careers. I've like broken a couple bones playing football. I've never gotten a concussion, but I've seen a few people, different people get concussions and whatnot. And so it damages you physically for the rest of your life. A lot of people have these goals. Like, I mean, there's over like 20, 30 kids on a football team who want to end up making a championship, you know what I'm saying, or making the league. And they realize, the older that they get, that's never going to happen. It's an unattainable goal that is unrealistic. But due to our mentality as black and brown people, we feel like anything is possible. But in reality, these kids, by the time they're 15, 16 years old, is 120 soaking wet. You know what I'm saying? That's not even good enough to be a cornerback in the NFL, which is one of the smallest positions. So, I mean, we got to be more realistic on our goals at hand, what we want to be doing as a people. And I mean, at the end of the day, when we do things like that and we make those our unrealistic goals, you see a lot of young cats out here trying to become football players, but then they end up in positions to where they end up selling dope because all they really wanted to do with their life was be an athlete. You know what I'm saying? Or they end up coping by smoking a lot of weed, you know what I'm saying, or getting a girl pregnant. So then they put themselves in a position to where they actually are not prepared for something like that, prepared to be like a man. So then they end up in prison, you know what I'm saying, or in jail. So that's another form of the school to prison pipeline system where you're using your body more than your brain. That's all football really does.
Even looking at that too,
Pipeline system where you're using your
like
body more than your
this is
brain.
a grown
That's
ass
all football really does.
black man,
Yeah.
who hauled off and smacked the dog shit out of the kid for, regardless the his fuck up on the field. That's what we do nowadays when we learning the sport and stuff like that. I'm looking at it like, okay, who is this man? Who are we allowing from our community to coach and be around our babies, to treat our babies like this, like they animals, like, and not to do anything to this man, to accept a little weak ass apology. You know what I mean? So I'm going back into, there's a lot of old gangsters There's a lot of old dope dealers. There's a lot of old niggas who used to do a whole lot of destructive shit to destroy our community, who went to jail, got locked up, and now they want to come back in and coach, not truly changing their behavior. Because we can look on social media, they still on here on live at that, drinking, smoking while they driving, got their kids in the back, no seat belts. Like, what type of behavior, what type of niggas are we allowing to be around our kids? That's what I'm looking at right here in terms of, is that behavior that we're allowing to be around our kids, because at the same time they still putting out that image that they selling dope with the loud music, the 30s on their cars, you know what I mean? I mean, they still putting out that image like that's the go. Like selling dope is the move, and they got these babies in these cars and these vans and this and listening to them glorifying they old hustling days.
Right. Yeah, definitely. And I mean, a lot of these kids is looked at as an asset, because I know even in other states, not really in Colorado as much. Because I'm gonna be real with you, you don't see a lot of black youth get out of Colorado to play sports. You get like sprinkles every once in a while, like Chauncey Billups and a couple other people, Derek White, um, you know what I'm saying, or different football players and whatnot. But I mean, 9 times out of 10, you're just an asset to these coaches. To be real with you, they want to see who's the most gifted, skilled, and talented out of a lot of these kids, and then they're gonna strictly focus the whole play scheme and the whole team around that one specific kid. If it's the coach's son, because you always know when the coach is coaching, they always got the coach's son on the team, always.
Man.
And he's always in an important position, like the quarterback,
Man.
a running back, a wide receiver, the
Man,
captain.
um,
Always. I don't think I've ever played sports to where the coach's son is on the team and he ain't like a captain, at least. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's one of the key components too that we really don't speak on is favoritism, which creates a lot of envy, bitterness, and jealousness within the team as well. Especially if the kid isn't as good or you feel like you're better. So what happens is, it creates a lot of bad chemistry on the team, which ends up making y'all fail. And the reason I'm bringing that up is just due to the fact that this is also a form of psychological abuse on the children. Because what's going on is, if y'all there as a team and y'all working as a cohesive unit, when a coach is doing different things like this, it could definitely affect the way y'all approach and operate together, which leads to situations like this, where you see kids get smacked down under at 9, 8 years old in the middle of the field. And, people think that's all right. Because I'm gonna be real with you, the way I see it in my brain, me playing football, to be real, I didn't take it as big of a deal as social media made it out to be. But really looking at the perspective of the situation from other people who's not in the football world, it definitely looks abusive. It looks like this kid is being taken
I
taken
mean, it don't look like it
traumatized.
is.
It does look like it. No, you 100% right. It is. But the thing is the reason I say that is just due to the fact that playing football, that's happened so much, just in practices, where the coach will grab your face mask, bring you real close, and be like, "Boy, if you make another bad play," and then push you back. You know what I'm saying? You might fall or whatever. I've seen all that. Those are all
Hey,
tactics of trauma, man.
and
They be doing that to the kids all the time. Stuff
I
like
mean,
that.
so that brings us to our first question. Do black and brown youth need to play sports? Do we need to play sports?
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Do we need to play sports? I know that's an avenue for some of us to get some of that aggression out, or some of that to get some kind of pro-social behaviors going on. But at the same time, do we need to play sports? Considering the behavior from coaches, if you fuck up, to favoritism.
Oh,
I
come
mean,
on.
and I've experienced that. The whole. I ain't gonna get into it. You know what I mean? To the point where the coach wasn't sending out other players' tapes, but he was sending his son's tapes out, and
To the
making
best
sure
colleges.
that scouts come out and check out his son and shit like that. And so
And
at
the
the
rest of the kids is pawns. Talking about chess. The rest of the kids is pawns, man. The rest of the kids is pawns, man. Every other kid is used as an asset to make that one specific kid look better. It's like that in every sport. There's always that one blue chip player that everybody's looking at, like that one can make it. Everybody else, Y'all are just playing to make him look better. And we don't look at that perspective just due to the fact that, you know what I'm saying, we all okay to be nigga tools. We all entitled in our brain thinking we actually gonna make it. You know what I'm saying? Nobody, I'm be real with you. If athletes was getting paid like teachers get paid right now, you would see way less athletes.
Hey, I think that's going to be the move eventually. I believe that is going to be the move eventually. Just considering the whole, I don't know. That's just my feelings personally. You know what I mean? I'm just looking at, the teachers that are striking and they giving these teachers what they asking for. I'm just seeing a whole movement across the country. You know what I mean? And students are going to start wanting to be teachers instead of athletes.
I
Instead
mean,
of trainers.
I think this is the most impactful time period just due to the movements going on. That you could see more stuff like that. But overall, though, I mean that ain't stopped people from watching the Denver Broncos play, even though half of the coaches and owners
Crazy.
be Confederates and Trump supporters and all that, and
It ain't.
don't really even mess with
Not.
black folk.
It's not.
You know what I'm saying? So that just, I mean, to me personally, that don't really matter.
It's not. I mean, and we still talking about Black Lives Matter and stuff, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
When folks can't even do something as simple as not watching sports, not letting your kids play sports, because at the end of the day, these monies is funneling that system.
yeah, it is
I'm
funneling.
looking
It's
at.
funneling that system.
I'm,
It's a.
I'm even looking at the PAL League, the police. What is it? The police something league where the youth sports play in. I'm even looking at the PAL League.
Oh yeah, and then I mean, shoot, like even like Pop Warner, all that is all based off of like systematic. It really is born based off of like systematic slavery. A lot of people don't see it like that because they like, oh yeah, it gets my kid, keeps my kid off the street. See, when sports is an alternative for your kid to be off the street, I mean, at the end of the day, how I see that kind of is just the fact that you're not actually trying to sit down with the kid and put him in an after school program that's going to be more impactful towards his life. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of these kids who are in these athletic programs, when they get to high school, a lot of them end up becoming douchebags and assholes, not well read, usually struggling in school, lack of grades. And I could actually speak on myself because when I was in school, man, I struggled with a lot of different things just due to the fact that I didn't have a lot of time. Because remember, I mean, 9 times out of 10, when you in youth sports leagues, you're at practice every day, 2 hours right after school. You know what I'm saying? So by the time you get home, you exhausted after practice. You ain't really got no time to do your homework. You ain't really got no time to be able to develop your reading skills at a young age. So basically, you're just passing and coasting along school. You know
Hmm.
what I'm saying? Just to be able to get that break. And a lot of us don't end up getting that break. So then what happens is when we get older, we realize that we don't actually have the skills that are feasible to be able to be in education. So then we end up going another alternative route.
I mean, but that is it that we don't think it's feasible, or that we've been pushed something different?
It's
We've
both.
pushed this culture that's not our culture. We've been pushed this attitude, this agenda that's not our culture. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So even looking at, my man Lorenzo, he said, Phil Jackson said, I have found that anger is the enemy of instruction.
Anger is the enemy of instruction.
Of instruction.
That's interesting. That's more of like controlling your emotions, mind over body.
I mean, and it's coming back down to, a lot of these coaches too, top of the top to you, young fella. You know what I mean? Top of the top to you. Young Juetos. That's young Juetos right there.
Oh
A
yeah.
lot of these coaches are not who they coach. A lot of
Oh
these
yeah.
coaches are not who they coach. I think we need to aim our children towards trades, skilled
All praise Gadiel. Elder
2022
Gadiel.
sports. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. I mean, but at the same time, too, how can we push that when half of our culture, or I would even say more than half of our culture, is pushing the entertainment, is pushing the negativity, is pushing that route, through the music we listen to, through what they publish and put on TVs in terms of TV shows, series, movies. They got more than half of us on that route of the world.
Oh yeah, entertainment. Entertainment's the new leaders. I was just talking about that earlier. I think cause like we was talking about that actually on the last stream we had as a body.
Mhm.
Um that entertainment has replaced leadership within the black community. You know what I'm saying? That's why you don't see as many like Martin Luther Kings and Malcolm X's or people who's really trying to push the narrative, or if they are, you know what I'm saying, they're not gonna get as much as much clout, you know, as a LeBron James or as a Kevin Hart. So we look at Kevin Hart's and LeBron James's leaders now as opposed to you know what I'm saying, like Bishop Nathaniel IUIC or
What's his
different leaders
name?
actually doing
Candace
things.
Owens.
You said what?
Candace Owens.
Candace Owens, yeah, she's not even a
You
leader,
know,
she's an
she's
entertainer.
smart as fuck. I ain't gonna
Huh?
say that she's smart as fuck.
Oh, she's a very intelligent, but
She
what she's doing is she creates a shocking factor for people
that's
to
it.
to
That's
for
it.
people to pay attention to her. But I mean, I don't really even
I
know if she
mean,
believes half the stuff she's saying, but she's trying to create attention.
you got to think of what she's saying though too. You know, and I'm even coming back down to the culture. What's wrong with what she's saying that's not true? It's just that what she's saying is supposed to come out of white mouths.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? But
So
it's
they call her Candace Owens. I mean, I'm be real with you. Candace Owens is a coon. She a sellout. I ain't even gonna lie to you. She is. Period. I don't give a damn, bro. I'm be real with you. But the thing is Candace Owens does say some smart stuff. She says some stuff that makes sense.
he said so when the World Trade Center went down, the news went to Ja Rule. We got Ja on the line.
we got
Ja on the
Ja.
line.
Hey, that's what. Hey, I bet you right now, if something happened down in the black community, they're going to LeBron.
They going to Cardi.
Yeah,
they going to Cardi.
B.
You know what I mean?
She's the voice for the black community.
So
Lil Wayne.
all right, terrible. All right, so even coming back to it too, you know, question number 2: why do we glorify athletes more than educators, more than education?
That's true, man. You know the crazy part is I remember a couple years ago, Zion Williamson was the talk of the country. You know what I'm saying? How crazy he was with windmill dunks. He was like 280. You know what I'm saying? But could jump out the gym like Jordan. Like people was like, this is the next big thing. Like everybody was speaking on him. But that same year, there was a black kid who got like a 5.6 GPA average in high school, and nobody's talking about that. You know how amazing that is? You know how hard that is?
At all.
5.6 in school?
And
that's
I ain't
like
hear
A++.
And I ain't hear nothing about Zion's academic career.
I bet you he was mediocre, to be real with you.
I'm just saying, you know, I mean, there's means for him to be where he is too. You know what I mean?
There is means to be where he is to entertain white folk, because that's what he's doing. He ain't really doing nothing to help benefit the community. Let's just be real. Because
who does though? And you mentioned Chauncey. You know what I mean? Like who does? I'm throwing Chauncey's name out there because I don't see a motherfucking thing that Chauncey is doing in or for the community besides stuff that's going to benefit his own personal pockets.
Yeah, I was just like, I mean,
hold on, check this out. But folks still put him and dub him as the king of Park Hill. You know what I mean? You know, they still give him the Denver savior. You know, he's the Denver king and all that. Like, what has he done?
Well, that's because he won a ring.
What has he done? You know what I mean? We coming.
And he ain't even won a ring in Colorado though. He won a ring in
Colorado.
Detroit. He won a ring in Detroit. You know what I'm saying? So the thing is like with Chauncey in particular, Chauncey, I know he bought like 2 or 3 buildings down on Welton Street. I don't really know the reason why or the purpose, so I'm not gonna speak heavily on it. But I do feel like when it comes to athletes, we expect them to do things outside of their comfort zone. Like, bro, like you're not designed for that position. But like when you go to like the white communities, when you go to these so-called Caucasian communities, you see a lot of people in positions that are actually meant to fulfill those positions. Like Dr. Fauci. If y'all don't know who Dr. Fauci is, long story short, Dr. Fauci is the person who planned out this COVID-19 vaccine, is also the solution towards it too, which don't make no sense. But anyways, Dr. Fauci is a representation for the field he's in, which is basically the medical field. You know what I'm saying? It's the same thing with people who are comedians in the white community. They don't really speak out of what they're designed for. Same thing with entertainers like Justin Bieber, Taylor Swift. They're entertainers for their community, but you don't really see them speaking on, issues like opioids taking effect within the white community that's killing millions of their people. You know what I'm saying? You don't really see them speaking out of that because everybody feels their role properly. When it comes to our communities and our people, you see people always outside of their role and saying some dumbass stuff on a public platform that ain't even designed to speak on, if that makes sense.
I mean, we don't need from my perspective, I don't like speaking on white folks because I ain't white. but they don't need the white entertainers to speak on what they have the white politicians already doing and
Real
signing bills
talk.
up for. You know what I mean? So they got Lyme disease. These babies out here in the woods catching Lyme disease and shit like that. But then they push forth these Lyme disease laws.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? So they don't need entertainers to do what they have these white politicians. They got that shit on lock.
they got
You know
that
what I
on
mean?
lock, man. They
So
got
I
that on
mean,
lock.
even coming back down to, no, I ain't gonna say no salt because I'm you know what I mean? If I was in a position where, I got millions and millions and millions of dollars, I would be doing a lot more for my community.
Right,
Whether people see it or not, they would know that, you know what I mean? Okay, I know Phillip is doing this with his money for the community. You know what I
right.
mean? I know that this community center was built, you know what I mean, with the money that Phillip had for his community and shit like that. I'm not looking for no return. In those buildings, there's a return. Those
There's
business
always a return policy.
those businesses on Welton Street, you know what I mean? There's a
There-
return.
There's a
And then,
profit.
so we even looking at, and we talked about this before too, about the elitism in the black community in Denver. You know what I mean? That separates them from, it's the haves from the have-nots. You
Hey,
know
I
what
got I gotta say something on that too. So there's this book. Our leadership in our congregation was just going over this on literally on Saturday, on Sabbath. And basically what we spoke on was there's this book called like the bourgeois of the black people, which is basically the same thing you're saying. The ones who feel like they too good to help out their own. You know what I'm saying? The Oprahs of the world. You know what I'm saying? The high at least the Jay-Z's, the Beyoncé's that are so big amongst their people that eventually what happens is they're so much higher on another level that they end up forgetting about their own. You know what I'm saying? They don't put their hand down to reach and see who else they could bring up. They bring up the people who they feel, or they just start copying white culture. And that's a crazy thing that you mentioned that because it's low key true. Because I really think I'm cutting off of assumptions, so I could be 100% wrong. But I really think those buildings that were bought down there is just another way for more gentrification to happen. Cause like black folk ain't got no money to really do anything with those movies.
Oh
It's
yeah,
called the Black Bourgeois. I
the
appreciate you.
booze, yeah, yeah. And my man, he said, entertainers are to entertain white society.
White society
White
uses these
society
entertainers.
as the mouthpiece for white supremacy because they cut checks.
Man, cut the checks heavy too. Cause I mean, at the end of the day, all they gotta be like is, "Hey, bro, I got this tape on you from back in the day when you was out here doing some stuff. Your pants was down to your ankles."
And the thing is too, I thank God to this day I wasn't out there reckless. You know what I mean? Any tapes that might pop up of Phillip is Phillip beating somebody up. You know what I mean? Knocking them out and stomping them out. You know what I mean? That's anything that might pop up. But again, that's early before video cameras and stuff was you know what I mean, the move. You know what I mean? But they might have some on the CCTVs and shit like that. But yeah, I mean, even coming back to it too, you know, I feel like even that the halves, they make sure that the folks who are of the world, they continue to glorify the athletes
Oh man,
instead
Lord,
of education. They are a part of pushing that agenda just to make sure that there's some separation. I believe, me personally. And again, this is the haves who's leading the have nots. You know what I mean? And the have not don't realize, it's I again, this is me, my personal feelings. You know, I feel like that we are allowing folks um who have grown from where folks who I'm trying to say, I'm trying to figure out how to say this, how folks who have grown from where they have been talk down on them.
oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I get what you're talking about.
And at the same time, um we still look to them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, look to them as the answers. look to them as the answers. And I mean, at the end of the day, that goes straight into the facts that we speaking on. You know what I'm saying? It is really idolatry, like Gadiel said. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, he goes. It really is. You know what I'm saying? Because what we got to understand is like when you're idolizing something of less importance. Because I mean, in reality, sports does not do anything for the black community important or impactful. A lot of people would differ for that and argue that, and I would love to argue with you about that. I would love to have a debate because I can
I mean, I
prove to
feel
you.
like LeBron is doing something good with his name, with his money. You know what I mean?
I mean,
Um,
you could
I don't
say
I
that.
don't believe the majority. There's a majority who's doing that, but there are a few athletes who's getting money, who is doing something, but it's not the majority.
No, majority over here is out here, you know what I'm saying, being more toxic for our communities, creating stereotypes like James Harden, you know what I'm saying? At least from the perspective that the media pushes out. This man is over here at strip clubs all the time. He's like a strip club fanatic. You know what I'm saying? You know how much I don't even know. He's over here making 200, $300 million, you know, in the next 6, 7 years. And I'm sure he's giving, you know, whole strip clubs communities worth of
He's
funds.
up in communities
Yeah. Shoot. Give
through the
me
strip
give me
clubs.
a couple 100,000 from what you gave to some random ass stripper, man. To be honest with you. So like just little things like that, even in itself. You know, a strip club is basically a waste of money. So like when you go into those infrastructures and spending thousands amongst thousands of dollars a night, you know what I'm saying, with these individuals just to be able to get your rocks off real fast, you know what I'm saying, you're neglecting and creating negligence within our own communities. And I mean, a lot of people don't see impact or value in that because like they're like, I made it all the way here. You know what I'm saying? I really don't need to be able to reach my hand out. I did it myself, so they got to figure it out themselves too. A lot of people got that why me mentality. You
Mhm.
know, we really need to have that try me mentality. You said
Yeah,
what?
I just said, why me? All right.
Sports is also modern slavery. We was on auction block sized up for MASTA for Massa. Massa. Now we on the auction blocks for sports teams. Yeah, I thought you were saying an acronym. I was gonna be like mission
He said, what's master?
mission action. I don't know.
All right. Yeah. I mean, to that extent too, coming back, imagine somebody again. I want to make a visual for y'all. Imagine somebody selling dope, selling crack to your grandma. Imagine somebody selling crack to your aunt. Imagine somebody selling crack, to to your nephew, to give to your whatever. You know what I mean? Imagine somebody shooting up a birthday party, trying to get to somebody specific, but they shoot up the whole birthday party. Imagine somebody running into somebody's shit, trying to take all their shit, but the person who they ran in wasn't the right person to run in, so they ended up getting killed.
Man.
Imagine these people getting locked up doing their time. All right. And they getting out. They did 10, 15 years, even 4 to 20 years, whatever. They get out now, they want to come back and give back to the community. In the same sense, these men, when they were involved with their kids, they was cheating on their kids. I mean, they're cheating on their kids' moms, beating on their kids' moms.
Huh.
They was beating on their kids,
Huh.
not taking care of their kids. They go to prison, but now they're out. They want to do something good. They want to start coaching kids. They want to start mentoring these babies. But at the same time, these men are still on live on Facebook, drinking and smoking,
Yeah.
driving, still pushing this negative behavior, but they have a passion for sports and want to coach kids.
They trying to turn ratchetness into righteousness, but with sports.
I mean, my thing is, what I'm getting to is, would you not would you, because people are, why? I'm gonna ask that question. why would you allow an individual with that background, even if you can see, even when you can see you're friends with these people on Facebook, you can see clearly what the fuck they doing. Why would you allow these individuals to coach your kids, to mentor your children? Again, these is black folks allowing this. You know, I see it amongst our community. You know, I'm not talking too much about white folks, Asians, you know what I mean? All that. These is black folks allowing these niggas who ain't good, who you can obviously see that they still need some healing to do themselves. Is that a funnel for them? Is that a way for that behavior to rub off on these babies to perpetuate the school to prison pipeline?
That's okay. Can you simplify the question more?
With the behavior that these men, you know, there's still in them. It's still underlying behavior, and some of it is on social media. Like I was saying, you can see it.
Okay, I understand.
You know what I
So
mean?
yeah. So even with that, I mean that's just a form of PTSD and trauma, and a lot of these people need therapists trying to like be therapists to these children. Because I'm gonna be real with you, a lot of these kids in sports, especially within our communities, don't got dads. So that coach automatically off rip becomes a father. Like real talk, a lot of the times. You know what I'm saying? I know when I was young, shoot, I would see them coaches as my uncles and my fathers
I
and my
mean,
big
what
brothers.
what kind of niggas do you want around your kids though?
Real
That's
talk.
that's
And
what
I,
I'm asking.
you can never really know who a coach is because you
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 can
can't
see
really
it.
know them.
You can see it clearly on Facebook. You can see it.
Yeah, that's true too. I mean, if
This,
you following them, you can see
yeah,
exactly who they are.
this is it. This is ignored behavior.
It is.
You know what I mean?
Our people that what I think the big thing is people don't see it as a big deal either. You know what
And
I'm
that's the
saying?
issue. That's the problem right there.
Yeah, they see
Because
him smoking, they see him talking about this, that, and the third, irresponsible, and they think, okay, well, that's just what he does. You know, that
and
ain't got
then it,
nothing to do with me. That
and then
none of my business mentality is terrible for the black community.
and then it blows up to the point where this coach is putting his hands on these. Look, I'm gonna just say it just like this. You know what I mean? I got 4 kids. All
He
right.
said,
There's
he
only
said,
one thing. There's only one thing at this point that'll get me sent to prison or anything, and that's something behind my kids.
mm,
All right. So I'm saying that to say if that was my son, you know what I mean, who, and that's where I'm like, where was this baby's dad? Where was the mom? Where was the nigga who's fucking the mom? You know what I mean? Where was these folks at to allow this man to I mean, I'd have killed that nigga. That's what I'm getting to. I'd have killed him. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Because
which is,
that's something that I feel like as a father, as a parent, you're supposed to do is protect your children.
and the thing is I don't know if I would have necessarily killed him. You know what I'm saying? Well, I wouldn't have put my son in that situation because my son's not gonna play sports. So off rip, you know what I'm saying? He's not gonna be put in that situation. But if there's a situation where my son's being physically harmed by somebody, we definitely got to create like a form of a conversation. But like I'm telling you before, a lot of these people don't see this as a big deal just due to the fact that they're like, oh, it's sports. He messed up on a play. It is what it is. You know what I'm saying? That's how people see it because this is so freaking common in football. I'm trying to tell you, so common. It's just somebody got it on film to where it was super overly aggressive towards a kid. Like, and people don't realize these type of things happen a lot. I remember when I was growing up, I see my big brother, uh, my pops and my little brother when they was growing up, they used to throw the football around. He would throw it and like it would hit his face without like a helmet on, like you know what I'm saying. He would start crying and all that. And when you do things like that, it definitely damages the child as well because it's like, dang, if you don't catch it like right here, you're gonna get hit in the face. And I mean, in retrospect, I mean, in hindsight, it don't seem like that big of a deal, but in reality, it is because when you're damaging and harming these children physically, you know what I'm saying? They feel like if they don't react a certain type of way, it's going to be bad for them. This is another example of it. It's an embarrassment for the child,
Yeah.
man, but
And and
I
it
don't know.
and it comes back to our first question. You know, do black and brown youth need to play sports? You know, and I know
He said, "Do black and brown youth need to play sports?"
they need to play sports. You know what I mean? And I know when I had moved with my grandma, mind you, I was a street rat. You know what I mean? We played out in the streets before I had moved with my grandmother. We was so much in the streets often. You know, her story always ended with, you know, when I took Phillip in, it took me 5 baths to clean the dirt off his ass. You know what I mean? Like we was real life gutter babies. You know what I mean? So when she took us in, the first thing she did was she put us in sports. And no, the first thing she did was she put us in church, and then she put us in sports.
Man, yo, that's yeah. And I mean, a lot of these grandmas and moms do that because they just like, I don't know how to raise a man. You know what I'm saying? There's no men around. The only men is gang members, drug dealers. So they're like, dang, I have to pick the lesser of two evils. So guess what? I'm gonna pick sports, and they end up doing things like that, man. I'm looking at these comments though. These people are hilarious. This man said, "Hey, so, hey, Social Gaddy, that's hilarious." This man said, "The only people who get therapy is people who don't season their chicken." Let's be real. I was just like,
Look,
yes, yes, 100%. You get an A
I
plus.
mean, that's problematic. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Is that,
they do be traumatizing to most people though.
I mean, is that because we see it as a problem? You know what I mean? We see therapy as a problem.
Nah, we
I
don't,
know why
bro. You gotta realize though.
we season our chicken.
But
So is
listen
that
though.
saying we don't do therapy?
No, listen. When it comes to therapy, a lot of our people, when we go to therapists, a lot of our people are going to people who don't understand our struggle. It's just like the same thing as like the system, like with cops. You don't see a lot of people who look like us. I mean, when you do, the system itself is always against us. It's the same thing with counselors. I don't know a lot of counselors when I was in high school. Man, when I was in high school, when you tell some things going on in your house, like trauma, molestation, whatever's going on in your house, your mom's on crack, those
They
therapists
gonna,
are going to call the cops, and
they
you
gonna
going to
tell.
go
Yeah,
into the system.
they
That's
gonna
their
tell.
job.
That's they're required to tell. You know what I mean?
Period. So that creates lack of trust. And on top of that, 9 times out of 10, they don't even look like you. They white. So
Mhm.
you already, and they're most likely a white woman. You know,
I
white
mean,
women are hella fearful.
even looking at that, because that's flawed. That's a fucked up system right there, all in itself. You know, we are supposed to build relationships with these teachers, but when we open up and share shit that we ain't supposed to be shared,
Now I'm in the foster care.
now you really in the system. You
Real
know what I
talk. And that traumatizes children even worse. That's worse than being with a crack. Honestly, I would say being in the foster care sometimes worse than being with the parent. So then you end up in a situation to where, like, you know what I'm saying, you more traumatized. Oh, Soldier to Vibe, my brother. Hey man, he said complete mental destruction causes us to latch onto semblance of so-called greatness. We don't truly believe that we have greatness. That's why we idolize athletes. We want to ride the coattails of their athleticism and attributes, their prowess to ourselves. That was well written.
I mean, yes. I mean, yeah, we touched it. You know what I mean? I believe we touched it. Just in terms of, looking at the full picture. You know
I
what I
like I
mean?
said, like I said before though, I think that there's positive towards sports, and the only thing I would say that's positive towards it, like the biggest thing, is team collaboration. You gotta understand to put your ego away, and you have to be able to understand to work with people around you. The thing about white America, the American system, is they put so much emphasis on sports and they put so much money behind it. And so with money comes more black and brown kids who come from the slums and come from the ghetto who ain't had nothing in their lives trying to pursue that. And so then it ends up toxic. It ends up creating a toxic environment within our communities because they ain't reading as much as they dribbling the basketball. Does that
Mm-hmm.
make sense?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and a lot of these athletes to the point where they'll graduate college. I mean, they'll graduate high school because the teachers was like, we still just gonna push you the fuck out of there. But then get to college and they won't be able to even, have the courage to or the discipline to even study and know how to study and complete some college work
Well, that's
because
because they've been playing. Yeah, they've been playing football.
they've been playing football and they've been babied so they can ball. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But let me see what did. Hold on, let me see. Miss Tutu, she said, "Wait, the parents was not home. That is why the kids were in that predicament in the first place." I mean, yes. I mean,
Wait, parents was not home. That's why the kids were in the predicament. Oh, you
I
talking
mean,
about with foster care? I've heard a lot. You know, the crazy part is a lot of black people like who's not. And now this is no disrespect towards Miss Tutu in any way, but I've actually heard this before. Like I dealt with this. I talked to the when I was in speech and debate. I had like a crazy debate about this like 3 or 4 years ago, and a lot of Africans believe that the struggle in the black community when it comes to like lack of success, a lot of it's our fault. And to be honest, like I agree to a sense, but one thing people don't understand is when it comes to our communities and like our mothers being on crack or our dads being gang members or being in prison, a lot of that's systematic too. You know what I'm saying? We don't understand that it's a combination of the two, but it's because we have lack of resources and a lot of our people are ignorant towards who they are. They don't have no form of purpose, so they end up in positions to where these kids is going to school with no form of purpose, playing sports their whole life, and so or if they stop doing it and there's some trauma, they go to their counselor, they end up in a situation they don't want to be in. Like it's not always just like, well, the parents not home, they're just on
yeah.
crack. Ain't nothing you could do. You know what I'm saying? It's not that. It's more complicated
I
than that.
mean,
That
and
makes sense.
even to that point, some of the parents they trying to live their life again. You know what I mean?
Oh
Man,
man,
dropping them off at the park to play and do practice, and they drop them off to you later on at the house. That give you a little 3-4 hour window to live your little life. You know what I mean? Some parents do that, not
they
really,
do.
not really looking at that gap again from outside of school. We're not talking about the 8 hours the kids is in school. We're talking about after school to the practice. That other gap where the parents is like they still don't know where the fuck or what the fuck their kids is doing, and then they get home. Now there's no time to truly build with that youth, that child. So all of the behavior from school, behavior from the coaches, how much of that is inherited in embedded in the youth, again, that perpetuates the school to prison pipeline to the point where
They
when
end
they
up in
see these
prison.
coaches act out, show out, sag their pants, all that shit, they go into the school acting out, showing out, sagging their pants because this is what they see. I mean, I'm looking at that too, but my man, I can't say your name, Yana and Timbit. Uh,
Yawasap Lahab Israel.
yes, indeed. He said, "How did we get to the point where we see sports as the way to success rather than education?" I mean,
That is true.
that's the humdinger right there. You know
We
what I
say
mean?
I made it. I made it.
I made it,
And
mama. I'm here,
you
and
know
we
the
always
crazy
thank
part,
our mama.
man. You know the crazy part is you see a lot of kids. Yeah, mama made it. Once that they win the Super Bowl. Hi, mom. You know what I'm saying? Like that's just so freaking
I
normal
want to
within our
thank my
community.
mama.
He said, "Yo, I want to read every comment. I love reading comments, man."
All right.
He said, "No, we chuck and jive for the very people who put us in slavery. Black and brown people are only good for entertainment in the eyes of the oppressor." And then he said, "We got to stop chasing people who put raisins in potato salad, brothers." I do see a lot of Caucasians doing that for sure. They, they do put raisins with. I'm gonna be real, like with ranch. That's disgusting. I don't like raisins with ranch. Um,
I mean, I don't know why you eating raisins in the first place. You know what I mean?
Raisins are great. Hey man, hey, check yourself, man. Raisins are wonderful.
I'm just saying. You know what I mean? You know
Raisins
motherfucking
are
raisins?
wonderful.
Well, you know motherfucking raisins? Sure.
As Arai said, it's nature versus nurture. Our nature is rooted in greatness, but we've nurtured in a system that entertainment success is the pinnacle. Yeah, yeah. I mean, shoot, even being a rapper nowadays, being a musician is like very desired. I think honestly, I'd argue being a rapper is probably almost more desired than being an athlete in today's time. Like within the black community, everybody wants to be a rapper. I bet you talk to 4 or 5 kids right now. I bet you at least 2 to 3 of them want to be rappers. Like on top of playing sports, you know what I'm saying? Like that stereotype of being a rapper is real, like really big within our communities, just like athleticism. And then when you don't make it in that, you end up coping doing the same thing. And 9 times out of 10, you're doing that anyways, because that's what rap is prone to do is push you towards those situations. And I
I
don't know,
mean,
Phil, you know anybody who was an athlete at one point who ended up becoming a rapper?
Uh,
I know a couple.
not a tight rapper. You know what I mean? Kobe Bryant, he dropped his raps. You know what I mean? Shaq, he dropped his raps, but these niggas wasn't tight. You know what I mean?
What about Master P?
I mean, Master P, he was a rapper first and then started balling. So you know what I mean? But he still wasn't tight. He was just, you know what I mean? I don't know. Chill. I don't know. I mean, those are fields that I don't know. I mean, but even coming back to how do we get back to our nature? You know, if our nature is rooted in greatness, how do we get back to that greatness?
Well, we gotta understand who we are, man. You know, one thing that destroys the black communities, we have no sense of self. We have no sense of
Mm-hmm.
purpose. You know what I'm saying? A lot of us don't read. You know, a lot of us have lack of discipline. And discipline is the key to freedom. You know what I'm saying? Like, for example, me being an Israelite, you know, my key to freedom is being disciplined. You know, like in the scriptures, it talks about, thou shalt not steal. You know, if I don't do that, I know I'm not going to harm my brothers and sisters when it comes to for us to create trust within our community. Same with like, thou shalt not lie. You know what I'm saying? Those things right there can improve a lot within our communities. Same thing with thou shalt not kill, which means that I'm not going to harm and traumatize more mothers, fathers, sisters, and brothers. So when you actually apply scriptures instead of just creating a motivational speech and then passing around the bucket around the pulpit, you know what I'm saying? You could actually create improvement within our community. But us having lacking sense of self, having no history behind what we believe in, behind what we preach, a lot of our people end up in positions to where all we want to do is be an athlete or, you know what I'm saying, a rapper or anything like this. In return, these young kids coming up who want to do the same thing, they end up in prison 9 times out of 10 because that's all they know. And all they know is to be in sports. You know what I'm saying? They hate school, they hate the teacher. Teacher's always against them. So then they end up in positions to where all they could really do is be in prison. Because that's like what they being set up to be in anyways.
Mm.
Here, let me see. The Roger says something.
Tabitha said, I want to get my children involved in robotics and or other STEAM, science, technology, engineering,
Oh,
mathematics programs. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and they pay too. You know what I mean?
things that are typically deemed to be reserved for whites. You might. Oh, yeah. I. The crazy part is like, um, I was in a lot of STEM growing up. I personally don't have no passion for STEM. I think that thing is mad boring. Personally, robotics and stuff, I don't like it. But the thing is it definitely can be a passion that can make you millions of dollars, like on some Elon Musk. Like you could be the next Iron Man, but black. You feel what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Like real talk. So like I agree with that wholeheartedly, man. Yo, everybody's commenting. Who's that right there?
My man Lorenzo, he says, speaking on what you allow these coaches around our kids, and does that contribute to the prison pipeline? Kids absorb the energy of adults like sponges. So if that person carries that negative energy in their that negativity in their energy field, the kids will absorb that toxic negative energy. So yeah, that contributes to the pipeline. However, if that adult has truly healed and reformed and carrying positive nurturing energy, the kids will absorb that too.
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely. Like one thing I really do appreciate about my mother growing up, speaking on personal note, she didn't do drugs around me. You know what I'm saying? Or like she wasn't an alcoholic. So little things like that impacted me to not do that growing up. You know what I'm saying? Or I was less prone or to create an addictive personality towards doing drugs just due to the fact like my parents around me didn't do it. You know what I'm saying? So it made me less likely to do it. So I definitely agree with that. That what your parents do around you is a big influence towards the choices you're gonna make. It's not just your parents too; it's your friends as well. But
Yes,
I
indeed.
say your parents probably got more of an impact on you because parents don't realize when they out here drinking, smoking, and doing all those different things around you, you're more likely to do that than not. To be real.
I mean, if your parents are doing the right thing, though, you know what I mean, raising you the right way, your friends can still influence you
Oh
to
yeah.
do some bullshit. So, you know, I'm back and forth with that. 3 out of 10,000 boys make the NBA. Is it black boys or just boys, period? Make the NBA draft. Parents gamble their kids' success. Those odds are garbage. Teacher Trey, you know, it was crazy that you say that because you know, I had just, you know, the other day it just dawned on me like, dang, my kids could be my retirement ticket. You know what I
Oh
mean?
man.
Like I can, you know, right now, my oldest son, he draws his ass off. He can draw like a mug. And I've come to the realization, like, man, he's so dope. He can get paid millions for this. It just dawned on me, like, my kids don't need to play no sports in order for me to retire early. I just got to invest in my kids the right way, put that right energy into their lives.
Yeah, make him a clothing designer, an artist, or something like that, to where he's like set pretty much, or an architect.
I
Or
mean,
whatever.
I'm looking at, I'm looking at buildings. I'm looking at the structural aspects. You know what I mean? You know, something that's going to benefit the people. You know, that's me putting that positive energy.
I'll tell you this, it's better than 3 out of 10,000. And even speaking on that, you asked if that was black boys, 75 to 80% of the NBA is built off of Black America now. You know what I'm saying? Majority people, I think there's only a few starting lineups that got like one white person on it. So yeah, 9 times out of 10, 3 out of 10,000, it's probably 3 black boys, to be real. maybe a sprinkle of maybe like 1 or 2 white boys who's kind of cold.
Our kids don't see the value of being different in our community. If one deems something cool, they tend to follow. I mean, that's the world. That's the world we're talking about. You know what I mean?
True. If teachers were getting paid 6 figures, that'd be real cool. I'll tell you that right now.
I mean, that'd be a whole vibe. You know what I mean?
Said that'd be a whole vibe.
Even
early. I'll be real.
Even early 6 figures. You know what I mean?
Man, you getting paid 100,000 a year?
Yeah, that's a whole vibe. You know what I mean? I gotta go to Bankhead to that. You know what I mean? Shoot.
Hey, but you know how many kids would be like, yo, bro, I'm doing that. Real talk.
Yeah.
Like, I know I would have been in school, like, I could do way better than this teacher. They getting paid 6 figures. Please. Like, real talk.
Man, I had kids who I was in school with who would pull out a knot on the teacher. Like, I make more than you make right now. You know what I mean? Like, pulling out knots on their teachers.
Sure. And they like, the teacher could all do it. They choke up.
You swallow it. You know what I mean? You better swallow your pride.
But I'm smarter than you.
Yeah, that's all they got, right?
You ain't smarter than me making money. But then it also goes into that's the school to prison pipeline system too. Because even if they are making that money, the question is how they making that money. 9 times out of 10 is something that's going to end up setting them back later on and potentially leading them to prison, which goes back to the school to prison pipeline. But Tutu said, when you have the right person, therapy helps, especially for us Black and brown people. Listen, I'm not saying therapy does not help at all. I'm just saying the system built around therapy, just like police officers, the system built around therapy is not designed for our people. It's never been designed for our people. That's why when you see our people in positions, this is what therapists usually say. They like, I got you. We trust it like this. Let's bring it even to the brown community. There's this cat. He was 17 years old. He's from, I think he was from El Salvador, Honduras, one of the two. He was a gang member out there. He had to kill a couple people in order to get to America, and was even escaping some gang violence out there so he could be able to live a better and more healthy life in America. When he got here, he was on DACA. He was in one of those immigration camps. I think he was actually in Colorado. And what happened was he actually started dealing with a translator. This translator, who was an American, a born-bred American white girl, ended up telling all that information of him being a criminal and his criminal acts when he was in Honduras and El Salvador, because he was forced to be a gang member at a young age, and he had to do a bunch of,
I'm listening.
Yeah, do a bunch of harmful things that destroyed that destroyed himself at a young age and traumatized himself. He even had to kill his cousin, different things like that. What she did, she remembered that information, recorded him, and now he's either facing life in prison in America or he got to get shipped back to the same place he left. And then if he ends up going back, he's gonna die.
Yeah.
So he pretty much has what I'm saying? He's either gonna choose life in prison or death. But that's the example of why we cannot trust a lot of these therapists within our communities, because if you tell them some deep, dark stuff that could be a potential criminal act or people around you doing criminal things,
they have to end up messing you up. They have to do their job.
Yeah, at the end of the day, man, they got certain policies and contracts that they sign too. So having an assigned therapist to you is very hard to trust these white folk, man, because a lot of them is white folk being these therapists.
I mean, and that's even Black folk too.
Real talk though, you ain't even lying.
We ain't gonna just put it on white folk. That's even Black folk too. You know what I mean? And it ain't even therapists, but we ain't gonna go there. You know what I mean?
Hey,
All
hey,
right.
hey, and I don't even know if I could trust these black folk as my therapists, because you got to realize a lot of them could be married to these white Caucasians, and you know who you married to is who your allegiance is with. To be honest, it's hard to trust. Shalom, Ak, hallelujah. Faith without works is dead. Uh, the only way to back get us back to these laws, statutes, and judgments, commandments and judgments, discipline, like you said. Yeah, it's discipline. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, the big factor, at least for me, is like what Exodus 20 says. It says, you know, these are the 10 commandments in which you follow. And there's 600 and like I think 13 total in the Bible. But the thing is being able to understand common sense, like thou shalt not kill, can really help our communities. But a lot of our people don't want to hear that because it requires discipline that they're not willing to keep. You know what I'm saying? And we have a hard time forgiving one another too. I think that's a big thing within our black and brown communities is forgiveness. We don't forgive nobody.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Art and math are not exclusive. By combining the two, you allow an individual to utilize their whole brain. As Brother Elijah said, knowing who you are and discipline trumps motivation. I'm not always motivated, but I'm always disciplined.
man, it's hard to be motivated all the time. I'll be real with you.
All right.
But it is definitely. I say it's easier to be disciplined than motivated for real.
All right. We need to normalize black doctors, lawyers, engineers. There's not lottery involved in those professions.
See, and you know the crazy part is I think that there's more mental stress on becoming a doctor and a lawyer than it is like on becoming a sports athlete. And until we start
Mm.
normalizing and pushing, you know, that to be cool, you know, a lot of our people are going to end up in the same positions to where they can't be successful. Um, yeah,
I
but
mean, but even to that point too, again, if everybody's doing that, who's standing aside, who's standing apart? If everybody is, moving towards that black doctors and lawyers and engineers, if that's the wave, who's gonna stand outside the wave? You know what I mean?
they said if teachers get paid, two said if teachers get paid that much, I would have stepped. Man, shit, I would have went to school. I would have got my doctorate in teaching. Real talk. I feel like
Let's
I'd be
see
an amazing teacher. Real talk, but they don't get paid enough, so I'd rather not.
All
I'd rather
right.
be an entrepreneur and figure out my own way as opposed to like getting paid 45 grand a year. Because I
I
mean,
mean,
you should be passionate, but you gotta also eat. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? You
yeah.
can't have a big family and be a teacher.
Oh no, nah, at
Hell
all.
no.
Nah. You know what I mean? That sucks. All right, my
Yeah,
man Lorenzo, he said, I ain't never done therapy. I've turned to ancient indigenous healing practices for my healing.
I want to hear an example of that. Cause like I mean, I don't know what it is, so I'm not gonna speak against it or for it, cause I don't know what it is. But I would like a detailed
Meditating,
explanation. Ancient,
meditating.
I don't know.
I would see that as a ancient indigenous healing practice.
I would say therapy for me is reading scripts, bro. Um, black and browns dominate
He said
sports
meditation.
communities. He said meditation.
He said meditation.
Yeah, but I mean, let's say you is meditating every day, where you sit down 30 minutes and
That's
you
what it's
just
called.
meditate. Mandatory reporter.
Yep, that's what they have to run. If you in a school, if you're a teacher or anything like that, a therapist, that's what it's called. If somebody tell you that they hurt somebody, they want to hurt themselves, they want to get, you know what I mean? That's what it's called. Mandatory
And,
reporter.
and you know
Yep.
the crazy part is these are the same people that be like, man, you could trust me, and then you end up in handcuffs.
Boy.
Man, that's like betrayal, bro. That's
All
man,
right.
man.
What was you saying on the ancient practices though?
I was gonna say like, I mean, you could sit down and like, stay calm. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not gonna speak on what type of meditation you do, but you could sit down for 30 minutes and stay calm. I'm sure it's gonna help a lot with your patience. Because it's hard for me to do. I got heavy anxiety, but I mean, for sure, I would say that probably helps. But like at the end of the day, like I mean, shoot, I would say that's better than white folk. Straight up.
I mean,
That's better than white fun. I don't know if it's necessarily my cup of tea. I would say reading and understanding who you are, understanding your history, helps with a lot of form of therapeutical purposes. Because I think the biggest thing within our community is we don't have purpose. Our purpose is money, and our purpose is like doing things that what the world makes us feel like we need to do. We don't have no real purpose
I
of black
mean,
grounds.
check it out though. There's a reason for the mandatory reporter. You know what I mean? My man said mandatory reporter equals snitch. All right. We had a conversation about the word snitch in our community as well. And that shit, what you just said, that's destructive. You know what I mean? Because I'm gonna give you a great example. I was working for I think it was the
Damn.
Grid. I believe it was Grid. And one of the youth had told me something. You know what I mean? And I didn't tell. I didn't say anything. You know what I mean? Like he had told me something that I was like, man, I know I'm supposed to say this. I know I'm supposed to say something, but I didn't say anything. So and then I had moved on to a different position, and he told his other person, he told his other case manager the same thing, and he said, yeah, he told Phillip too. He said he told Phillip too, and I ended up getting fired from that job, from that position. I almost faced criminal charges because I didn't do what I was supposed to do as a mandatory reporter. So again, when it comes back to the system, even when we do what we believe, I believe I was building a relationship by not telling what he had told me. In that sense, he still told his other case manager once I had moved on to a different spot in the company. I mean, in the thing that he shared it with me, and I still ended up, you know what I mean, in a fucked up situation. So if that's, I mean, and I heard of another story about a young lady told her case manager, that she wanted to kill herself and shit like that. And the case manager ain't say nothing or do anything. They ain't take the right steps. And the young lady ended up killing herself.
Wow.
You know what I mean? So when it comes
Wow.
to the mandatory reporting, there is a means and a reason behind it.
Wow.
You know what I
That's
mean?
crazy.
So looking at how can we even look at therapists, finding our therapist, try to grow with a therapist, because I'm with Lorenzo. You know what I mean? I wanna look at healing through meditation. You know what I mean? I want to look at healing more Eastern medicine type ways than Western.
Oh, for sure.
You know
Herbal
what I mean?
herbal remedies is natural, for sure.
So let's go ahead and wrap us up, man. Let's go ahead and wrap us up. So coming back down to it, looking at the original question, the original theme, with sports being a route to the school to prison pipeline. Yes, I believe it is. I believe we shouldn't just have any person involved with our kids, you know what I mean, around our kids, regardless if they went to prison, came back out and have that good energy. If they're showing you who they are on Facebook, why the fuck?
I would say, I would say that we need to figure out different alternatives for our kids. This is a reaction towards an impactful, suspenseful, and very dangerous sport. And so, as a people, if we don't figure out other alternatives for these children, like reading more, different book programs, educational opportunities and purposes outside of athleticism, you're going to see things like this all the time. So it's better off for us to be able to figure out different alternatives so things like this don't happen. This should not be news right now. In reality, we should see kids succeeding in schools, figuring out different ways to succeed within the education system virtually. But we worried about football. Like we worried about football during COVID season, man. So
All right.
yeah.
All right. So appreciate y'all tapping in. You know what I mean? Another live episode of the top with King Phillip with special guest, young activist. You know what I mean? We're gonna get at y'all shit next week. All right, y'all mac them out there.
All right, man.
Peace.